Well, hello, welcome to podcast episode 2. And I think we've got the name. Are we called All Good Things?
That was mentioned in the first episode, Adam. So I think in the absence of anything else, maybe that's what we run with.
Awesome. And reassuringly for everyone, all good things must come to an end at some point.
So this will come to an end at some point.
All things must pass. Good. Well, we better ask how is everyone? What have you been enjoying recently? Anything good? Mm-hmm. You can tell us terrible, sad things if you want, but that might spoil the vibe a bit.
Well, there's one thing I'll just mention. I had to tear myself away from a phone call to get down here in time to do this. But last time, in our first episode, I was waffling on about my silly car and the car museum up in Ambigate.
Yeah.
And they have a little thing called the Great British Car Club, and they have a newsletter. And I spoke to a very pleasant gentleman just this morning, and he interviewed me, and I've got to send you some pictures, and they're going to have a little feature of me and the Mustang in the next club newsletter. So that was fun.
Nice.
But, you know what these car types are like? I couldn't stop him talking, so I need to go now. I've got a podcast to record.
Well, hey, there's our first previous episode callback.
There you go.
Presumably our first sponsor pretty soon.
Yes, well, I'm working on it. Yeah.
Well, on my end, I had the enjoyment of getting to go to Tots this morning, so I got to go and see that little ministry, which has been fantastic. It's lovely to get to see a lot of the mums and children all interacting with one another and getting to actually speak with a few of them. Outside of that, I've been preparing for some of our, I was going to say young people, but that includes me and Adam. We're doing a D&D night on Monday next week. We're doing a Christmas one-shot, and I've been preparing that, which has been quite a lot of fun. We're doing it on the Christmas Carol, which, whether or not that's any form of useful or good or entertaining, we'll find out. But
it sounds great to me, and Aoife's teaching it, or has been
yes.
most years, so she'll be thrilled to play through it and change the ending. And James, what's a one-shot?
A one-shot is a game of D&D that you play in one single session on its own, so it's a condensed story. They'll have a useful, like, sort of beginning, middle and end, all in one session. You normally have 1 or 2 combats within it, a section of roleplay and a section of puzzle solving.
So just for anyone who thinks that we're talking about dungarees and denim, what else can D&D be?
Dungeons and Dragons is a collaborative, improvisational role-playing game where your goal is to tell an effective narrative with your friends or whoever else you're doing it with, family members as well. Normally it's set in a fantasy setting, but you can do it in anything. You could do a sci-fi, you could do a pirate adventure, you could do desert islands.
You could do gritty realism and just play through like a really boring day.
I played through a really gritty session one time where someone was going, I want a real realistic fantasy setting. And so they made it so that our travelling rations were really, really harsh, and so all the characters died within the first 2 sessions because none of us knew actual survival skills, and the DM was like, this is rubbish, you're clearly just all going to die, get eaten by wolves in the middle of the night.
But you could spot the Rainiers fan in the room.
Oh yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing a D&D one-shot at Sanctuary one of these weeks once we've all convinced you that it's the best thing you could do. Ace!
That'll be our second sponsor after the...
D&D Beyond, there we go.
You can tell when we recorded this, I've been really excited by the decorations in both churches. They're really beautiful, so walking in for the Christingle, especially over at St Paul's, shout out our sister church.
I heard that it had taken them 20 hours collectively. I think Lucy came up to me and said, it was 20 hours, 4 hours for 5 people to get all that decorations up.
It was worth it, you could tell. The love was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And we all went somewhere very exciting recently. Where was it?
Oh, yes, of course.
It was unforgettable. We went to visit the probable site of the village hub.
We did.
For a walk around, for a trip hazard risk assessment, for all kinds of excitement. So that was a gorgeous day.
Brilliant. It was such a gorgeous building, and I don't think I've been in a building, or even really been in an area of Duffield where you get such a great view looking down the high street.
Yes.
I think you see all those picturesque sort of village images and you're like, they've done drone shots or something. No, they can go to the bank and they'll see it down from the hub window. It's a cracking shot.
Yeah, I think it's great potential. I could really visualise it becoming a exciting cafe space.
Awesome. Well, our producer says it's time to move on. We've been rambling already, so sorry audience. We're going to move on to the main topic for the day. James Rollin, you're going to talk about something really exciting. What is it?
Yeah, well, I would like to talk, and it is very exciting, and I'd like to talk about one-to-ones.
One-to-ones.
Yeah.
We're going to shuffle around a little bit. I'm going to get to go away, and James Hughes is going to come in and ask a couple of questions. And James, you're just have to distract them basically and ask you questions they're not prepared for. Lovely.
Okay, well, I obviously missed that last segment, although I did overhear your description of D&D, and when I played D&D as a kid, it was a different kind of thing. I think we just killed the monsters and took their stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously the game has developed.
It's come a long way since then.
Quite a lot in the last 30 or more years.
Well, I have never played it, so we went completely over.
Yeah,
This is your chance, James. We'll do a staff team one-shot. Imagine.
Come on, we're going off.
Focus.
Escape
So-
the vestry.
Yeah, escape the vestry. So this we're talking about one-to-ones.
Yes.
Okay.
we are.
So here's the thing: one-to-ones. Last time I checked, weren't they something that Vodafone encouraged you to do, or was it EE or some other telecoms company was definitely encouraging you to do one-to-ones? I presume that's not what we're talking about.
No, nothing to do with that, or Bob Hoskins saying it's good to talk, or anything like that. Though talking is involved. Yeah, I mean, one-to-ones is basically just a couple of friends getting together and opening up the Bible together, studying and learning from the Bible. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do people do? Do they just kind of bring their Bibles, both open it up to a page, agree about which page they're going to go from, just sort of start talking? Because that sounds quite quite a lot of hard work.
Well, you could do it like that, James. However, there are a number of useful one-to-one study resources, booklets and things that we can advise on and recommend, which give you a more structured way of doing it. I mean, I've used one book in particular with a number of people at both churches here and in Little Eaton, and it gives you a set of questions, not too many, not too few, not too obvious, not too difficult, and you can work through the questions together, depending on how long you talk for, and do it within about an hour, give or take. With it. Yeah.
Okay. And now this is a punt in the dark. But is it possible that the books you're talking about are on the table in front of you?
They are indeed, yes. Shall I?
Please take us through.
The one that I have successfully used a number of times with a number of different people is a thing called the Word One-to-One, and it's a series of 24 studies, I think it is, from memory. This particular book goes through the Gospel of John, then it goes through Philippians, one of the New Testament letters, and there's a bit of Old Testament as well, looking at the Psalms. Yes, 24 studies to do Bible reading with another person. So that's one example of what we can use.
Good. Okay, so we do one-to-ones. We've got two people meeting together, reading the Bible together. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, well, really the key thing, I mean, obviously here in our Benefice we see learning from the Bible, being taught and learning from the Bible as really the key way that we grow and develop in our faith as Christians. So that's why we do. We passionately believe that we need to be fed, if I can put it like that, from God's Word. We need to learn from the Bible. And doing the one-to-ones is another way, as well as listening to a sermon on a Sunday or being part of a growth group or whatever, it's another way that we can be learning together from the Bible. And there's the good thing about the one-to-ones is that you, unlike listening to a sermon, you can stop and say, I didn't quite understand that bit. Could you just clarify? Could we talk about this point again? So there's a chance to explore and ask questions and then grow together through studying the Bible.
Yeah, it's probably best if people don't do that in sermons.
Yeah, it would be a little bit rude.
Yeah,
you might get lose the friendship.
Well, I think it sort of might just make the whole experience last quite a lot longer.
Yes,
Which, you know.
Yeah.
There's a threat.
Yeah, that's not everybody's cup of tea, is it? Okay, so we've got people studying the Bible together. This has been going on for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working for the church now in my role as part of our ministry team for just over 5 years, and I've been doing it more or less, not quite from day one, but more or less since I started. I'm afraid I can't count out how many different chaps I've been doing the one-to-ones with, but quite a few. And the other nice thing about one-to-ones is I did it. You won't mind me mentioning him, but Phil, because Phil O'Brien's talked about doing one-to-ones in church, but I did a one-to-one with Phil. He was one of the first people that we studied together. And Phil has then gone on to do it with at least 2, if not 3 or 4 other people. So the other thing with the one-to-one is we do a one-to-one together, and then the person you've done the one-to-one with goes off and does it with another person, so it kind of flows out or ripples out. Is the other thing.
So as Alan was saying earlier, it's a little bit like a sort of pyramid selling scheme.
Well, I prefer to think of it more like when you drop a stone in a pot of milk, it ripples out.
That is a better image.
I'm not supposed to repeat my stupid comments on air.
I always like to give them with attribution, so that I don't want to claim them for myself. I can come up with enough stupid comments without help. Okay, so we've talked a bit about resources. What's next for one-to-ones?
Well, I think the other thing that there'll be some more information appearing in a monthly notice sheet near you is that I've talked about doing it as experienced Christians together as a way of sort of discipleship. But the other thing that going into next year we'll be highlighting is that one-to-ones are also a way of people who are maybe exploring the Christian faith or relatively new to the Christian faith and kind of seeking and searching. It's a way for people who are more beginners, let's say, to learn and understand more about the faith as well. And I have another booklet I can wear this. Now, for more at the sort of entry level, if you like, we have there's a whole series of things called the Word One-to-One, which go through a guided read through John's Gospel, and it assumes no prior Bible knowledge or experience. And again, my senior partner Emma has been using this successfully with a lady in the church.
That's definitely one I've used as well. I find very helpful. You just pass it over to me. I think one of the things I remember about this is there's not that many words per page, which is always a good thing in a book, because it means that, and this actually is a book it would be permissible to write in, that people can sort of write in, and there's plenty of information to talk about. So I found this one was really helpful in terms of not requiring like tons of prep, but just actually working it through.
And I believe you can do this one again, depending on how long you talk for, sort of half an hour.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
It's also available as an app if you're into all that.
Very modern.
Very
modern.
exciting.
An app online as well as good old Mark 1 paper. But look out for more information on that in a news sheet near you.
Good.
I guess the other thing I would just say is, as well as the learning aspect of one-to-ones, the other thing, whether you're a new Christian or an experienced Christian, it's also a brilliant way of just building relationships and getting to know people. So you learn together, but then you have fellowship and build a relationship together, pray together, and I've really got to know folk a lot better from doing these one-to-ones. So it's not just the learning; it's relationships.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just possible, and I don't think this would happen, but it's just possible that someone listening to this podcast might think that because it's me, the vicar, interviewing you, the minister in charge of disciplism and evangelism, that there might be a level of loadedness or bias, and that maybe we might want to kind of a second opinion or a third opinion on the value of one-to-ones. And I don't think many people would think that.
Surely not.
It's just possible.
Yeah.
So we're going to provide that at some point, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. In fact, I think we've got not one, but 2 special guests lined up who have both successfully been involved with one-to-ones, so who are not vicars or part of ministry teams.
Or in the direct employment of the church.
Yes. So look out for that at some point. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. So if anybody wants to know more, if anybody wants to get involved, they can look at the notice sheet, they can contact the office, or they can contact you.
Speak to me.
Brilliant.
Email me. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Lovely, and so it's time for us to wrap up the end of our second episode. It's been lovely getting to sit and chat a little bit about one-to-ones and what's been going on in our lives as well as part of the ministry team. But I think it's good for us to talk a little bit about what we're excited to talk about in the next few weeks and months, or however frequently we end up getting these podcast episodes out. So what kind of things can people be looking forward to over the next course?
Well, we've already made one promise, haven't we? We promised that we will have some folk to talk a little bit more about their experience of one-to-ones.
Mm-hmm.
I heard there's a celebrity guest coming.
Is there?
Celebrity guest?
That's what you told me last time we recorded.
Did I? Okay.
Do we have to guess who that is now?
Well, I've got to guess who it is first of all. Okay, I'll think who that is. Yeah, I'm sure I can find
Are we not having Bill Bailey?
Oh, we are having Bill Bailey. Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Bill Bailey, Asterix.
Oh, is it not that Bill Bailey?
It's that Bill Bailey, but it's not that Bill Bailey. If you
Right,
say.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's our Bill Bailey.
It's
Our Bill Bailey.
It's our Bill Bailey, not their Bill
Bailey.
Bailey. Okay. So, thank you for that. And I'm really glad that we prepared that segment as well. So,
Very natural.
so I didn't look as if I just didn't have a clue what was going on.
Yeah.
It's on the whiteboard, everyone.
No, it isn't.
This will be the last episode of
All things must pass.
Yeah.
But also, in order to try and keep this flowing in some kind of direction, we are also hoping to do a Tots cast. Now, I think the reason we want to do a Tots cast is not simply to find another way of getting the word tots
Right.
mangled with other words. Like, what's that thing we're doing at Little Eaton called?
The Natotavi.
The Natotavi. That's
I'm filled with anticipation.
Totsily. I'm totsily excited about that. It's your turn for something. Yeah. So we will have a Tots cast, not simply to. I don't know whether that'll be live from Little Eaton or from Duffield, but we will have some Tots folk in here, and we'll make sure they bring their toys. So yeah, and we're exploring. I mean, we said at the beginning, didn't we? We do want questions from the listener.
Yeah.
We'd love questions from the listener.
And ideas from the listener. And as you know, the way these things work, good ideas don't always end up resulting in action, but good ideas sometimes do. So we'll be happy to receive those. Yeah.
Well, quite rightly. Well, so outside of just the things we're excited for with this podcast, then, James, I was actually hoping you'd maybe shed some light on what we can be looking forward to on our Sundays. What kind of things have we got to look forward to in the
Exactly. So this is, as it happens, this time of year is rota time. So I've been looking over the last week or so, a bit longer than that probably, at what we're doing in sermons, morning and evening, after Christmas. So in the morning, probably no surprise to anyone who's been here for the last year or so, is we're going back to John's Gospel, picking up John 11, working through to, I think we're going to get to about the end of John 15 by Easter. That'd be nice. Nice to kind of walk through some passages. We'll be starting off with Lazarus and working from there, just seeing that overlap between Jesus' ministry heading into Jerusalem and then that time with the disciples, which is sometimes the stuff that you kind of go through at really great pace just before Easter. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more pace, a little bit more space to do that. Similar in the evening, actually, as we get in towards Easter through Lent, we'll be looking at Luke 22 and 23, which is the Luke's account of the crucifixion. And again, those are passages that we have tended to do in the space of sort of two chapters, two long chapters, usually over 2 or 3 sermons. So it would be nice just to have a bit more time and space to explore those together. I think we've already kind of started doing that, haven't we, a little bit in Luke, so that's been good. And then also, and maybe this is the most exciting of all, for me, I don't know, that I'm really looking forward to introducing our 7 o'clock congregation to not only Shamgar, but also Jael, who are 2 key people from the Book of Judges that it is just possible no one has ever heard of. So that's what I'm looking forward to next time.
Does that mean we're at the violent camping trip or not?
Yes, it does mean that it means that tent pegs are a key feature.
I'm going to have 2 very excited Year 8 boys.
You are, yeah. Just make sure there are no demonstrations.
So between a sham and a jam, we've got lots to look forward to, lots of exciting things coming down the pipeline. If you're interested in engaging with that, then please do continue to watch along and join us. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you whenever we next record these.
Well, hey.
Yeah. And we're just waiting for someone to ring me now so that we can...
Or for someone to burst in.
Hello!